My name is John. I am 38 years old and a literature teacher. I have been teaching in a suburban school for about 7 years. I have always enjoyed working in that environment as it was characterized by a good atmosphere. But one day something strange happened. It was a typical morning. The students were in their classrooms, and we were all completely unaware of what was about to happen. I was in my classroom, giving a lesson with about 20 minutes left, in the Hur, when suddenly someone knocked on the door. As soon as I opened it, I found myself facing 4 men. I asked them how I could help, and one of them looked at me and said, "We are here for an extraordinary cleaning." It seemed very strange to me. I looked around to try to understand better what was happening. I told the man that I had not received any communication about it, and I couldn't evacuate the students from their classrooms without proper authorization. Later, I asked why the extraordinary cleaning was necessary. He told me there was a suspected case of a student contracting COVID-19 in that classroom. I was speechless. How was it possible that I was not aware of it? That situation was too strange. I told one of the men that I needed to speak to the principal and would come back to them in a few minutes. I returned to the classroom and closed the door. I took out my phone to call the principal, who was not in the school at that moment when suddenly James, one of my students, approached me. With worried eyes, he told me that he believed those men were there for him and had been sent by his father. I didn't understand immediately. I asked him to explain further. The reason those men were there was connected to a painful family separation that the father had not accepted. He said that his father had recently been declared psychologically unstable and, during that period, would be capable of anything just to keep him with him. Unfortunately, the principal did not answer my call, so I was forced to handle the situation personally. I left the classroom and approached those men. I asked them who the child they were talking about was. Not surprisingly, those men revealed that the suspected child who had contracted COVID-19 was James himself. At that point, the situation began to become clearer. I told those men that if they did not leave immediately, I would call the police, that there was no emergency, and James had explained to me that his parents had recently separated. The mother did not allow enough time with the child, so the father had devised this bizarre plan to make the teaching staff believe it was necessary to take the boy away due to an alleged COVID-19 positivity. They looked at me and did not say a word. I informed all the teachers present in the school. After a few minutes, due to the complexity of the situation and to ensure the safety of students and staff, the school decided to declare a lockdown. Finally, we decided to call the police and block all doors to prevent those men from escaping. After about 10 minutes, the police arrived at the school building. The 4 men were taken to the police station for questioning and evaluation regarding their actions. Once at the station, the men confessed that they had been sent by the boy James's father to take him away. Following this confession, James's father was summoned to the police station for questioning. The meeting with the authorities provided further details about the motivation behind this bizarre kidnapping attempt. Subsequently, James's father underwent additional psychological evaluations to determine his mental stability. There are rumors that after that episode, the boy's father decided to seek psychological support to improve his situation. I was a senior student. That period of my life was a mix of intense emotions and significant changes. On one hand, it was a beautiful time because being in the final year meant preparing for many challenges in the future. On the other hand, it was also a difficult period due to the end of my relationship with my ex, Andy. The breakup was abrupt, and every day was a struggle to focus on my studies. I was still hurting. The school routine was my refuge. It helped me distract myself and not dwell on the negative aspects of that time. The story I'm about to tell you is surreal. It was a gray and rainy day, and I was in my classroom immersed in the usual school activities, trying to focus on lessons. Suddenly, I received a message from Penelope, a friend of mine in another class at the same school. The message said she needed to talk to me about some important matters, and we could meet in the school bathroom. She added that it was quite urgent. Honestly, it made me a bit anxious. Without thinking too much, after about 10 minutes, I asked the teacher if I could leave and headed to the bathroom to hear what she had to tell me. Once in the bathroom, I noticed there was no one there. I started wondering if Penelope had changed her mind or if she was just running late. After a few minutes, I decided to leave. As soon as I turned and began to head towards the door to exit the bathroom, someone called my name. It was a male voice, and it startled me, considering I was in the women's bathroom. I turned abruptly and couldn't believe what my eyes saw. To my surprise, there was Andy, my ex, in front of me. From that moment, I understood everything. It wasn't my friend Penelope who had sent me those messages. It was him. I didn't know what to think. My hands were trembling, and I was paralyzed. I tried to escape immediately, but he forcefully grabbed my arm. I told him to let me go, but he insisted, saying he needed to talk to me and I had to listen. I asked him what he wanted from me and how he managed to get into the school. His explanations were confusing, and the only thing he cared about was my attention. As he continued to grip my arm tightly, two of my friends, Lyra and Aveline, happened to pass by the bathroom. Luckily, they heard my cries, opened the door, and witnessed the scene. They told him to let me go, but my ex seemed to ignore them completely. At that point, they immediately ran to inform the teachers and the principal of what was happening. Andy, realizing the situation, managed to escape and hide somewhere inside the school. Shortly after, the school decided to declare an immediate lockdown. After about half an hour, Andy was found in one of the bathrooms on the upper floor, and the teachers made sure he was immediately removed from the school. That day will be etched in my mind forever. I will never forget the moment when, turning around in the bathroom, I saw his face. Even today, after about a year, I still have the terror of encountering him. He has always been a strange, sometimes dangerous guy. I hope never to see him again in my life. What I'm about to tell you happened 5 years ago when I was in high school. Usually in the morning, I would ride my bike to school, taking about 25 minutes. It was enjoyable and quite relaxing, except when the weather conditions weren't the best. One day, as usual, I left home around 7:15 a.m. I preferred arriving at school a bit early to have some time to chat with friends before classes began. That morning, while I was cycling towards school, a car suddenly emerged out of nowhere, almost hitting me. I was frozen in fear for a few seconds. Meanwhile, a guy got out of the car. He seemed concerned, repeatedly asking if I was okay. After apologizing for the incident, he asked where I was headed and offered to accompany me. Despite appearing kind, his face gave me an odd feeling, and I didn't like the way he looked at me. I decided to decline his offer. Luckily, he didn't insist much, and before leaving, he looked at me and said, "See you around, little one?" Those words left me puzzled, as I didn't know that person. Moments later, he started his car and drove away. I arrived at school slightly late and noticed that everyone was outside. I started asking what had happened. They told me that the school had declared a lockdown due to a malfunction in the electrical system, attributed to an act of vandalism. After about an hour, the issue was resolved, and we were allowed in. Later, from the surveillance camera recordings, they discovered that the malfunction was caused by a boy who didn't attend that school. They began asking most students if they knew him, and when they asked me the same question after showing the camera footage, I felt a shiver down my spine. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was the same guy from the car encounter earlier. I approached a group of friends and asked if anyone knew him. Some had seen him around the school a few days before, but no one really knew who he was. By the end of the day, it seems that the boy was identified and taken to the police station. All I could think was, who was that guy really? Why did he almost run me over? And why did he cause that electrical system malfunction at school? I fear I'll never get an answer to all of this, but it worries me. I believe he was somehow trying to get to me. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found the content interesting. If so, please leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel to stay updated on upcoming content. Greetings, and see you in the next video.